chaos and danger, these are the first words that come to mind when people mention northern Myanmar, a shadowy land that sends chills down the spine of anyone who dares to learn more. But if northern Myanmar is already considered hell on earth, there is one place even worse where people are no longer seen as human, and everything, even a person's body, can be traded like a commodity. Welcome to another episode of the True Crime Case, where we uncover the darkest and most mysterious real-life stories. And as always, before we dive into today's chilling case, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to support our team. Thank you. Today's story centers around a businesswoman from Taiwan named Zhao Boy. She received a desperate call from a close friend. On the other end of the line was her friend's trembling voice, full of fear. She was crying and begging for help. She said she had been trafficked to the Kaka region of Myawaddy and was now being held for ransom. The kidnappers were demanding an enormous sum. If you're familiar with dark crime stories, Myawaddy is a name you might have heard before. Located in eastern Myanmar, it's the country's second largest port and has earned a sinister reputation, right alongside northern Myanmar, as a hub for scams and something even more terrifying: illegal organ trafficking. Zhao Boy wasn't just any woman. She had over a decade of experience working along the Thailand-Myanmar border. It had built strong connections and had saved up some capital. Without hesitation, she gathered $170,000 for the ransom and reached out to a broker who promised to help her reach the outskirts of the Kaka area. She waited at the appointed place. 1 hour, 2 hours, still no sign of her friend. A sense of dread began to settle in. Eventually, after pleading, she was granted a meeting with the area's manager. What she heard next shattered her world. Her friend had already been sold to a buyer from Dubai. The buyer had paid 5 times the ransom amount to purchase her friend's organs. Just an hour before Zhao Boy arrived, her friend had been taken onto a medical ship headed out to sea. Now, when people hear medical ship, they might imagine a humanitarian mission floating hospitals, rescue missions, and doctors saving lives. But in the waters off Myanmar, these ships, marked with red crosses, serve a much darker purpose. They are not hospitals. They are floating butcher shops, camouflaged by the guise of humanitarian aid. They have become notorious centers for black market organ trading. Why? Because organ donors are in short supply. Every year, over 1 million people wait desperately for a matching organ. And among them are the powerful and the wealthy people who are willing to pay millions for a chance to live longer, no matter the cost, and no matter the origin of the organ. On the black market, everything has a price. A kidney can sell for up to $1.65 million. A liver, also millions. Even skin is harvested, priced, and sold. For the ultra-rich, money means nothing when their own lives are at stake. And the source of these body parts, they're often what the traffickers call piglets. Piglets is a horrifying term used in the scam compounds of northern Myanmar. It refers to kidnapped individuals who are forced to work in scam operations until they're no longer useful. Once they're worn down, they're sold for parts. These victims are treated as less than human, just tools to extract value from. It begins with lies. People are lured in with promises of high-paying jobs. But once they arrive, they're stripped of their freedom and given new names. The abusers beat them for any disobedience, training them to perform online scams. If they fail to memorize the scripts or techniques, they're tortured with electric shocks or whipped with wires. When they finally become good enough at scamming, they are put to work under 24/7 surveillance, strapped in small rooms, given limited bathroom breaks, and forced to make phone calls non-stop to scam strangers out of thousands or even millions. If they don't meet their quotas, they're beaten, locked up, or worse, maimed. For women, the nightmare is even worse. In a place with so few females, they become prizes. For the male managers, the obedient and attractive ones are sent to entertain the high. When they're no longer of interest, they're sold to other men like objects. If they resist, they're reconditioned, trained again, this time for sexual exploitation. Once they step into those halls, their health and future are gone. Most contract serious diseases, and their lives spiral into hopelessness. But even then, they are the lucky ones, because at least they're still alive. In northern Myanmar, a living person is often more valuable than a dead one. Despite the rumors of people being killed for their kidneys, the lack of proper medical infrastructure makes organ removal risky and rare in that region. But once a victim is no longer useful, no longer a profitable scammer, if they are sold to Myawaddy, where the real horror begins. If the north is the beginning of suffering, then Myawaddy is the final destination, a place where cruelty reaches its peak. Victims who are no longer profitable are sold like expired goods. They are shipped off to the docks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. At first, things may seem better. No beatings, no torture. But it's just a false sense of peace. Because the moment a millionaire or a powerful figure finds a match in one of them, their countdown begins. Everything on their body has a price, from their delicate skin to their most vital organs. When a deal is made, a medical ship arrives. The victim is taken out to sea where no law can protect them. Once aboard, they're strapped down, awake and terrified. These ships don't waste time with anesthesia. They let the victim bleed out, sometimes even collecting the blood to sell. When the body finally goes limp, they toss it overboard like trash. No burial, no ceremony, just cold water and silence. Even with all the warnings, people still fall into the trap. They think they'll be the lucky ones, that they'll escape. But Myanmar's rugged terrain, violent history, and ruthless warlords have long made this a land of no return. There is no miracle here, only suffering. The region's harsh geography, its divided ethnic groups, and a long legacy of colonial rule have fostered deep political divisions. Even after gaining independence in 1948, Myanmar plunged into a civil conflict that never really ended. In the chaos, warlords emerged looking for fast ways to make money. They began with drug trafficking, then illegal casinos. But when these became too risky or unprofitable, they turned to something far worse: human trafficking and online fraud. With China cracking down on cybercrime, many scammers fled to northern Myanmar. They shared language, culture, and infrastructure. Local warlords saw opportunity. They offered shelter, protection, and profit-sharing deals. Together, they created a thriving scam empire. The profits were massive, tens of billions of yuan. But greed knows no limit. Soon, the darkest industry began to take a root: organ trafficking. Unlike the north where scams reign, Myawaddy has become the largest illegal organ market in the world. Victims are lured from China, Thailand, Laos, and once they arrive, there's no going back. Myawaddy isn't just a place. It's a symbol, a monument to cruelty, greed, and the loss of humanity. The takeaway: never believe in get-rich-quick schemes. There's no such thing as easy success. Behind the promises of luxury and freedom, there are traps that could cost you your life. Stay smart, stay safe, and remember, the only path to real success is through hard work, not false promises. Thanks for watching today's story. Until next time, stay alert and stay human.